If you search online for what you should do after a dive, you'll find plenty of advice on what not to do after scuba diving, like don't go on an aeroplane, or don't have a deep tissue massage, don't jump in a hot shower, all those kind of things. But when I did it, someone sort of asked me the question, I didn't actually see very much information on what you actually should do after a dive to look after your body. Plenty on how to look after your equipment, but what about you, the diver? Hi all you awesome scuba divers out there, welcome to the Scuba Diving Magazine channel, your favourite place for the latest scuba diving news and gear reviews. This was a question from subscriber Felix Bistandig. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And they asked for my body routine after a dive, which is a great question because there's so much focus on looking after your equipment after diving and what you personally shouldn't do after a dive. So it just kind of made sense for me to make a video on what you should do to look after your body after a dive. The first thing that I think about, other than like drying myself off and getting clean, is my ears. My first few liveaboard trips when I was just learning or had learned how to scuba dive, at the end I would always have the same kind of dull ache in my ears on the flight home, as if I had like water trapped in my ears. You get that like just a dull ache in your ears, and I just figured that I didn't equalize properly on a dive and my ears were being a bit sensitive or something. What is more likely is that it was something like otitis externa, which is more commonly known as swimmer's ear. Spending all of that time submerged in the water, the skin cells in your ear, they kind of swell as they absorb some of that water, and all of the tiny nasties that live inside of your ears, they're okay in small amounts and when they're in the right place, and some of the nasties from the water that you're actually swimming in, because yeah, the water's kind of gross when you think about it, they creep into, when the cells kind of swell, they create these little crevices between the cells. The nasties kind of climb in there and cause inflammation. And yeah, to prevent this, you need to dry your ears out as thoroughly as you can and kill some of those nasties. And there's a few ways of doing that. The first is something like a commercial treatment, such as these. They are specially formulated to go into your ears, kill the nasties and dry any trapped water. Avoid using earbuds, like cotton wool swabs, whatever you call them. You don't want to poke anything into your ears because those like swollen skin cells are much more fragile in your ear, and even with a cotton wool swab you'll create little scratches that you probably won't notice, but the bugs and nasties are going to love them, and it's just going to make it worse. So don't poke anything into your ears. If you don't have access to like these kind of treatments where you can put a few drops in to dry them out, or you're feeling particularly artisanal, you can actually make your own concoction that most divers call ear beer. Ear beer is a 50-50 mix of alcohol and white vinegar. You might find some different recipes online, but most of the common ones are just that. It's isopropyl alcohol and just some white vinegar. It's quite a potent mix that will kill those nasties and dry the water out of your ears, but you don't want to use it too frequently because it can dry your ears out and throw the pH of your ears off and cause damage itself if you're using it between every single dive. It's best used like after a day's diving, not after every single dive. The commercial treatments, they're going to be better formulated and they're going to last a bit longer as well. Ear beer, because it is just isopropyl alcohol, has a knack of just evaporating, so don't go making large batches or it's literally going to just disappear. If you do experience pain or discomfort in your ears, then it's always best that you contact a specialist. The internet is great and all, but a qualified ear doctor is going to be the best to assess what you've actually got going on in here. But after every dive, do your best to dry the inside of your ears as best that you can without poking anything or doing too much. At minimum, you can like tilt your head and like pull and wiggle on your earlobe to help tease any moisture out. I've seen some divers use a hair dryer on like its lowest setting, just kind of like blowing it in their ear, just to get some air movement around to help dry it out. If you do need any ear treatments, then you can head over to scuba.com. They have a bunch of different pre-dive and post-dive care treatments. So either drops that you put inside your ears before the dive to kind of create a coating to prevent the water from actually getting to those skin cells, or post-dive care treatments to help dry it up afterwards. And they're actually sponsoring today's video, so I'll pop a link up here and you can check out their range of ear care products, as well as everything else that they sell, which is a lot. Scuba.com sells water sports equipment from all of the top brands, and they even have dive centers on the east and west coast of the US. They also organize diving holidays around the world to the best diving locations, so the next time you think about diving or booking a diving holiday, then think about checking scuba.com, see what they've got available and if they've got any deals. In spite of being submerged in water for the best part of an hour, it's quite common to become dehydrated on a dive, so it's important to get some water, some fresh water down your neck. The gas in our cylinders is very dry. We filter out as much moisture as possible when we fill them to prevent corrosion inside the cylinder, so you're breathing that dry gas in for the better part of an hour, and the moisture that's in your lungs is naturally drawn out into that breath, and as you exhale it, some of that moisture is going with it. So with every breath, you're just getting a little bit of moisture out of your body, which is a bad thing. When you're thinking about a drink, skip your coffee and your fizzy drinks, just get some plain fresh water and drink that. It's always the best. Fruit juice is okay, but try to avoid too much acidity. Much like coffee, drinks like orange juice can give some divers heartburn. So if you're prone to like acid reflux or something, I'd give that a skip and just get like a bottle of water. It is nice to get some flavor in your mouth and a mild legal stimulant after a dive, but as everybody tells you, water is best. And with your water, try and get some protein and some carbs into your body. You want your body to be in top condition to decompress as efficiently as possible. Remember that dive tables and dive computers, they don't actually know how quickly or slowly your body is decompressing, especially like key tissues and whatnot. They could be decompressing slower than like standard. So all the tables, they're just educated guesses. So do your best to give your body what it needs. If you're honest with yourself, it probably doesn't need a chocolate bar. It needs some carbs and some protein, and yeah, just to keep your body like just a nice sensible temperature as well. Washing your hands and your face with fresh water and soap as soon as you get out is a good thing. That helps to keep the nasties like away from your eyes and your mouth, and it's just always good to wash your hands to keep them clean. Again, the water that we're diving in, even though it can be like crystal clear and you have awesome visibility, it's kind of gross when you think about what's actually in the water, and you don't want that on your hands. If you then like go grab a sandwich and you're eating that's going in your mouth. You don't really want that. So give your hands and your face a wash as soon as you can, and give your whole body a good rinse to get rid of the like salt and any nasties when it's on the body, with just nice fresh water and some soap. At the very least, use some lip balm as well, so you don't get cracked lips, and try to clean like your armpits and your crotch. As always, they're like key areas. They can get quite sweaty, especially if you're diving in like hot, humid climates, and if you don't look after them, you can develop sores, which can be very uncomfortable. So you want to keep them dry and clean. Be kind to your hair if you still have lots of it. Don't comb it too aggressively straight after the dive. Try to only comb it when you're in the shower, not a hot shower, just a comfortably temperatured shower, because if you have a hot shower, it can accelerate the decompression in your skin and your extremities. So not a hot shower, just a comfortable temperature shower. And with your hair, use some kind of conditioner just to feed it basically, and then try to let it air dry if you can. Using heat can cause damage to your hair, so just let it air dry. Towel and it just pulls on the hair, so no, just let it air dry as best you can. Moisturize your skin as well, because you can dry out pretty quickly with that kind of evaporation. And if you're somewhere really sunny, remember to either use some kind of sunscreen or to cover up, because you might not feel the temperature of the sun, especially when you're on the surface, but the sun's still bearing down on you. You want to protect yourself. That's usually one of the first things that I do whenever I'd like surface after a dive, is to make sure something goes on top of my head. If it's cold, then a woolly hat is going to help slow the heat loss from your head. If it's sunny, then a wide brim hat is going to help prevent exposure and sunburn. And if there's like a lot of rain or spray from the boat, then a baseball cap that peak can just help keep the water out of your face. Otherwise, if you have any medical conditions or you require any kind of medications, make sure that you take your medications at the right times. The main things for me though is going to be like your ears, your hydration, and your body temperature. When you properly think about the water that we're diving in, yeah, it is really a lot of disgusting things happening there. So you want to make sure that you clean yourself, your hands at the very minimum, and yeah, look after your ears, because they're very, very delicate, and if you don't look after them, something happens, it's really hard to go scuba diving afterwards, and you can just get a lot of discomfort. But yeah, any kind of discomfort, it's always best just to contact a medical professional who specializes in ears, not just, you know, Reddit. But if you have any post-dive rituals or recommendations, then pop them in the comments down below. I was genuinely surprised when there wasn't that very many articles telling divers what they should do to look after themselves, instead of just listing what like they shouldn't do after a dive, because most divers know what they shouldn't do, but there's not a lot of like advice on, hey, yeah, you should look after your hair and do this, that, and the other. Yeah, so it made sense. But if you do have anything extra, then let us know down in the comments below. And remember to head over to scuba.com for your next gear purchase, dive course, or even diving holiday. Thank you for watching, everybody. Links are going to be down in the description below. And of course, safe diving.